Chicken martini is a relatively new dish in the Italian-American community named after my favorite cocktail, the Martini. And if you know me, you know I love a martini. But I order it a strange way. Tito's Dirty Martini on the rocks with a twist, no olive. So today, to make my rendition, we're making chicken martini dirty with a twist, no olive. And of course, it starts with chicken breast. I'm making this for one, so I'm just gonna use one chicken breast, boneless, skinless, and I'm just gonna turn it into cutlets. And we do this a lot. The way we do it is we pull the board close to us, fat side facing our dominant hand, and a breast this thin, probably get 3 slices out of. So the top one, I always go a little thinner. With my knife, horizontal, just kind of slowly work my way across the surface of the chicken until I get a nice thin cutlet like that. And now, since the bottom of a chicken is a little frayed, I make sure I favor the top side more than the bottom side in this next cut, just to make sure I don't cut through any piece of the chicken. Now you got 3 beautifully thin pieces of chicken. Next up, we gotta set up a 3-stage breading station, but not the one you're used to. First up, in the first bowl, we're going in with about a cup of flour. That's pretty traditional. Next up, we're going with some egg. 2 eggs beaten. And then we're gonna hit the flour with salt, hit the eggs with salt, mix it together, beat the egg. And then now the deviation, instead of breadcrumbs, grated Parmigiano Reggiano. That's the big switch up in this recipe. And usually you might add some just like you would breadcrumbs, but since Parmigiano is so expensive, and this is 24-month-old Parmigiano, I'm gonna put just a little bit in the bowl, just a flat little layer to get a nice coating on the chicken, and then add as I need so that I don't waste all this good Parmesan and contaminate it with the chicken and egg. It's also a good utilization when you've got a bunch of old Parmigiano cheese that you gotta get rid of. First up, I'm just gonna lightly season the chicken and drop them into the flour. Get them lightly dredged in the flour, then dust off all that excess flour so there's just a thin layer, and then straight into the egg. Then again, toss that chicken into the egg, make sure you get a nice coating of that egg all around the chicken. Then you just wanna get that excess egg drained off the chicken, and then we're gonna go straight into the Parmesan cheese. Now I'm just gonna use my other hand and just try and get it nicely coated generously in that Parmesan cheese. If I need more, I've got more right off to the side, but I just wanna get that coated and make sure we press that cheese in there. Once we've got it coated in the cheese, we go quickly back into the flour to dredge it one more time, which is just gonna help it not stick to the pan, which is a potential issue if you just use cheese and fry it like that. We're going with another spoon or 2 of the cheese, and then bread the rest of the chicken. Minimal cheese waste. Next up, I'm gonna serve it with some spinach, but I didn't dry it. I want a little bit of that moisture. It's gonna help in the way that we're going to cook it. And for that spinach, I'm just gonna saute it in some garlic. I'm just gonna be real rough with it. I'm gonna cut it in half and just cut it into like little chunks like that. You can just be real lazy about it, and we're just gonna make sure we toast them nicely and cook them through. Then we're gonna need a lemon, both for the sauce, but I'm gonna cut 1 round, save the rest for the sauce. I'm basically just gonna cut it so it's like that, and then I'm gonna cut around the pith so that you just have the zest remaining. Pull it close to me on the board, and with a knife, just slowly cut that pith out so that you're just left with a nice piece of zest that we can twist up. We can just take something round, keep it like that to train the twist. And we can pull it out, and then we'll have a nice twist as a fun little garnish on top to just play off the theme of the dish. Then I have just a little fresh curly parsley. I just need a little bit for garnish. Curly parsley is actually very pretty. It gets no love. And there's our garnishes. So we've got our chicken. The sauce requires lemon, some chicken stock, and then we've got the martini portion, which is not vodka because there's no flavor, vermouth. I've got some of my favorite dirty mix, so it's just an olive brine. And then I hate olives, no olive, remember? So I'm gonna use caper instead. Vermouth's got this fresh, almost herby sort of note to it. And I like that real dirty, briny flavor in my martini. That with the lemon, one person described it as almost drinking a vinaigrette. So all of these things are gonna make a really nice sauce, and we're gonna finish it with butter. So I've got 2 pans set up. The saucier with a lid for the spinach and a high-rimmed frying pan to saute the chicken. In the frying pan, I'm gonna gonna add about an inch of olive oil, and once that comes up to temperature, I'm gonna add in 2 pieces of chicken at a time. Now always lay the chicken down away so that if it splashes any oil, it splashes it away from you. We're gonna cook the chicken on high heat, undisturbed, until that first side develops a nice golden crust. Should take about 2 minutes. Once brown, we can give it a flip, and as you can see, there's a little small pale spot on one of the pieces that didn't make good contact with the pan. So I'm just gonna use a spoon and baste that one spot until that pale spot becomes brown. Once both sides are brown, remove the chicken from the pan for now, and then cook the rest of the pieces of chicken the exact same way. Now you did crust it with cheese, so it may stick. So you might need to use a spatula to just sort of release it from the pan once it's brown. And once all your chicken is brown, we don't need that oil anymore, so we can toss it. And I'm just gonna wipe out the pan, leaving those stuck on bits, so we can use this pan to make a nice clean sauce. Get the pan back on the stove with the heat off, and we're gonna go ahead and add in about 1 to 2 cups of vermouth, followed by a little bit of that dirty olive brine. I'll leave a link to that brand below. But I'm a martini drinker, so I have this on hand all the time. Then squeeze in the juice of a lemon, and while not traditional to chicken martini, I like to add some capers for a bit more of that brininess. Then turn the heat back on to medium-high and bring that sauce up to a boil and reduce that by about half. And once that happens, we can add in about 1 to 2 cups of chicken broth. We want to bring that up to a boil and then down to a simmer, and then we can add the chicken to the sauce and allow that sauce to reduce and that chicken to finish cooking. While that happens, we can flash cook this spinach. In the saucier on high heat, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to the pan and then toss in those cloves of garlic. And we want to cook those until they develop a golden brown exterior. And then we can take that spinach and toss that right into the pan and then immediately cover it with a lid and start shaking it to get everything cooking evenly. The water in the spinach and the oil is going to react violently together in the pan, both steaming and sauteing the spinach in about 20 seconds. Once you hear that violent reaction start to simmer down, we can take the lid off and the spinach is perfect. Just need to season it with a little bit of salt and hold that off until the chicken is done. Now back over to the chicken. The sauce needs a little bit more time to reduce, but the chicken is cooked, so to prevent it from overcooking, I'm going to remove the chicken one more time and just let that sauce reduce a little bit more until it's perfect. Once it's reduced by about 2/3 its original volume, turn the heat off and start working in a few knobs of cold butter, making sure it's completely melted before adding another knob of butter. I threw in maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons, and that's sufficiently thickened that sauce, which should hold the back of a spoon. Now we can plate. All we're gonna do is serve a little bit of that spinach off to the side of the plate, and then we're almost just going to lean the chicken up against that spinach, so that spinach is just peeking out from the plate so you can see it's there. Then spoon over that beautiful sauce all over that chicken, then top it with that lemon twist, and then finish it with some chopped Italian parsley. And that chicken should be fork tender, juicy, and perfect. It's not too dissimilar to the piccadas, the franchise. Got a slight nuance and difference, and I just kind of like the acidity in the dish. And the sauce and the chicken just pair really nicely with spinach. This is a perfect, easy, quick, light thing to make in the summer. And if you want to make it, the recipe is going to be down in the description. That's all that I have today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.